The 70s were all about style over safety, and these 7 Coupes proved it. They looked cool on the lot, but once you hit the road, they were rolling death traps. Weak brakes, zero crash protection, gas tanks in all the wrong places. Some even had a bad habit of catching fire. They were fast enough to scare you, but not smart enough to save you. If you survived owning one, you've got a story to tell, and probably a few scars to prove it.
Make sure to subscribe and smash the like button.
Number 7. When Dodge dropped the Magnum XE in '78, they clearly hadn't been reading the room or the gas station price boards. The gas crisis was in full swing. Americans were downsizing into pint-sized eco-boxes. And here comes Dodge with this big, wide, thirsty land yacht, acting like it was still 1970 and fuel was 35 cents a gallon. The Magnum XE was all sharp angles and long hood, trying to look like a European GT car that had just eaten too many cheeseburgers. Under that hood sat a big V8 that made more noise than power thanks to late 70s emissions strangling. It could drink a gallon of gas faster than you could drink a large Coke. But ask it to outrun a Toyota Corolla and, well, let's just say you'd better pack a lunch. Inside, you got crushed velour seats, enough fake wood trim to build a treehouse, and a dashboard that looked like it belonged in a disco-themed RV. The Magnum tried to sell itself as personal luxury performance, but in reality, it was more like personal luxury parked at the gas station. It wasn't that it was a bad car, it was just a big, flashy, gas-guzzling dinosaur released into a world that had suddenly gone vegetarian. Dodge retired it after just 2 years, proving that in the late 70s, timing really was everything. Number 6. In '77, Chevy rolled out the Monza 2+2, hoping to lure folks who wanted Camaro style without Camaro size or Camaro price. On paper, it sounded like a hot little number. Sleek fastback lines, sporty badges, and even a V8 under the hood. In reality, more bark than bite. That V8 was so choked by emissions gear, it wheezed like a pack-a-day smoker climbing a flight of stairs. The 2+2 badge was supposed to suggest it could carry 4 people. Technically it could, if the 2 in the back were small children, circus contortionists, or your least favorite relatives. Anyone else would have their knees in their teeth before you got out of the driveway. And then there was the cooling system, or lack thereof. These cars had a nasty habit of overheating, especially when saddled with the heavier V8. You'd be cruising along feeling sporty one minute, and the next you'd be pulled over with the hood up, watching steam pour out like an angry tea kettle. Still, the Monza 2+2 looked the part, and for folks who valued style over substance, or who just liked the idea of owning a V8 sports coupe, it fit the bill. But if you were expecting a mini Corvette, you probably walked away feeling like you'd been sold a ticket to a rock concert that turned out to be a kazoo recital. Number 5. By 1976, Ford's Mustang had gone from wild stallion to something more like a tired pony at a kid's birthday party. Enter the Mustang II Ghia, the so-called luxury trim. On the outside, it looked like a Mustang wearing its Sunday best. Padded vinyl roof, fancy chrome bits, opera windows, and enough fake wood inside to make a lumberjack blush. Trouble was, under all that glitz, it was the same gutless Mustang II the world already knew. A car that could be outrun by an overloaded shopping cart with a decent tailwind. The base V6, or heaven help you, the 4-cylinder, barely had the muscle to get out of its own way. The V8 option helped, a little, but by the time emissions gear and the oil crisis had their way with it, performance was more of a fond memory than a selling point. Ford pitched it as the luxury sports coupe, which was like calling a frozen TV dinner a gourmet feast. Sure, the ride was plush and you could impress your neighbors from 20 feet away, but hit the gas and all you got was noise and maybe a little forward movement if you were patient. The Ghia trim made the Mustang II look fancy, but in the end, it was all show and no go, the automotive equivalent of a rhinestone cowboy. Number 4. The 1975 Bricklin SV1 was billed as a safety sports car, which is a bit like calling a chainsaw quiet and soothing. The idea was noble enough. Give America a cool-looking performance machine that also cared about your well-being. It came with impact-absorbing bumpers, an integrated roll cage, and no cigarette lighter because, fire is bad. But here's the kicker. All that safety came at the expense of, well, everything else. The car was heavy, the performance was anemic, and the build quality made early 80s Yugo owners feel smug. The pièce de résistance? Those gull-wing doors, which were supposed to scream exotic supercar, but often just refused to open at all, leaving you trapped inside like a baked potato in an orange plastic shell. Powered by either an AMC or Ford V8, depending on the year, the SV1 should have been a screamer. Instead, it lumbered off the line like it had a hangover. And the styling, bright, wild colors straight from a 1970s bowling alley carpet, made it impossible to hide your shame in traffic. In the end, the Bricklin SV1 became proof that you can't sell a car on good intentions alone. It was slow, heavy, temperamental, and in the end, the only thing it truly protected you from was getting where you needed to go on time. Number 3. The 1974 AMC Matador Coupe was AMC's attempt to be stylish, sporty, and sophisticated all at once, which is kind of like trying to wear cowboy boots, a tuxedo, and a football helmet at the same time. On paper, it was supposed to compete with sleek personal coupes like the Monte Carlo. In reality, it looked like a car designed by someone who'd only heard about cars over the phone. The styling was bold, let's say. A long, sloping nose, strange proportions, and rear quarter panels so thick they could have doubled as bomb shelters. The visibility was laughable. From the driver's seat, you could see forward just fine, but anything to the rear was basically in witness protection. Parallel parking? Forget it. You'd have an easier time docking a submarine blindfolded. Under the hood, AMC offered V8s, which sounded promising, until you remembered this was the mid-70s, when even high-performance engines wheezed like they'd just run a marathon in flip-flops. The Matador could move, sure, but only after a dramatic pause to gather its courage. Despite the awkward looks and lazy handling, AMC somehow convinced a few buyers it was a personal luxury coupe. But in the end, the Matador Coupe went down in history as a car that tried to be everything and ended up being memorable, mostly because it looked like nothing else on the road. Number 2. In 1974, Chevrolet decided to give the Camaro a new twist. And by twist, I mean they took a muscle car and yanked its fangs out. Meet the Iron Duke, a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine shoved into a body that screamed speed but whispered, "Please be patient." Now, don't get me wrong, the Camaro still looked the part. Long hood, aggressive stance, the kind of styling that made high school kids doodle it in their notebooks. The problem? Under that macho sheet metal lurked an engine with all the excitement of a lawnmower on a Sunday afternoon. If you floored it, you didn't get tire smoke. You got polite engine noise and a small delay before the car reluctantly moved forward. The Iron Duke was supposed to be economical, which in the 1970s meant sacrificing horsepower on the altar of gas mileage. But here's the punchline. The thing wasn't even that great on fuel. You were basically driving a slow Camaro that still drank like a thirsty uncle at a backyard barbecue. Owners quickly realized they had a sports car that couldn't win a stoplight drag race with a station wagon. The 1974 Camaro Iron Duke became living proof that in the muscle car world, looking fast doesn't count for much if the only thing you're passing is a parked car. Number 1. The 1971 Ford Pinto, the car that taught America two things. 1. Compact cars could be built in Detroit. And 2. Maybe you shouldn't put the gas tank where a fender bender turns it into a campfire. On paper, the Pinto was exactly what Ford needed during the fuel crisis: small, cheap, and easy to park. It was marketed as fun, frisky, and economical, which is all fine and dandy until people realized that a tap from behind could turn frisky into crispy in under 3 seconds. The gas tank sat in a spot that made rear-end collisions a real blast, and not the good kind. Driving a Pinto meant you always left extra space behind the car in traffic, not because you were polite, but because you didn't want to accidentally reenact a Hollywood explosion scene on Main Street. Some owners joked that the rear bumper should have come with a "Danger, contents may be flammable" sticker. In the end, the Pinto became one of the most infamous safety scandals in automotive history. Ford learned a hard PR lesson, and the Pinto learned, well, nothing. It's a car. But it will forever be remembered as the compact that proved you can cut corners on cost, but you probably shouldn't cut them on fuel tank placement.
Click the subscribe button. This is the channel where you will find rare and incredible facts about cars.